the bottom of it with your host, Joshua Moriarty.
Hello, welcome to episode 63 of The Bottom of It. Pleasure to be back. It's been quite a few weeks since the last episode. Things have been busy. Been working on some new Miami horror stuff with head of the family horror, Ben Plant, and also been in Telenova land a little bit too. We put out our new single, Tranquilize, a few weeks back and did a little screening of the clip in Melbourne. Check it out if you fancy. Angeline Armstrong, our front lady of the band, our favourite front lady, and Nightess in Shining Armour directed it, and she stars in it, and there's just a little cameo by me and Ed, because you don't really want to see us. You're paying the money for Ange, right? So get the boys out of the way. Anyway, she did a fantastic job. Good on you, Ange. Check out the Tranquilize Telenova video if you get a chance. All right, enough about me plugging my own stuff and blah blah blah. And today's guest is Australian artist Gretta Ray. I'll fill you in on some details about Gretta in case you don't know. She first appeared on the scene back in 2016 when her song Drive started kicking ass and went on to win the very prestigious Vanda Young songwriting competition of that year. At the time she was about 16 or 17, and then since then she's released a bunch of singles and an EP entitled Here and Now, which came out in 2018. Now, Here and Now is a very impressive listen. I don't even think she was probably even 20 when she was writing and recording those songs. I'm trying to think of some of the songs I was working on when I was 20, and I don't think they were that great. I was more into being as tech metal and sort of proggy as we could. The lyrics weren't really even considered. So yeah, definitely very impressed by Gretta and her songwriting talents. Drive's an excellent tune and definitely deserved all the attention it got. And I've been enjoying her recent singles, especially the tune Passion, which came out this year. We actually talk a bit about that during the podcast. Actually, a pop tune in 7/4 time. Very cool. Don't see that so often. What else did we talk about? We talk a little bit about Tik Tok and one's resistance to new mediums, how a bad songwriting session can feel like a bad date. I've definitely been on a few bad songwriting session dates, that's for sure. We talk about John Mayer refusing to play Your Body is a Wonderland. Fuck you, John. We actually start things off talking about how we met 10 years ago when Gretta was just a kid. She was a member of the Young Voices of Melbourne children's choir in Miami Horror. We had them feature on our debut album back in 2010. They sang on the song Imagination, so it was pretty funny reminiscing over that. All right, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Episode 63 with Gretta Ray. Enjoy. Young Voices of Melbourne.
Yeah.
I remember there was one kid that really pissed Ben off and he wanted to get him out of the mix, but it was impossible to do. It was a young boy.
Young boy.
I don't remember.
Like as a personality, or like his voice was not suited to the...
I think the voice, but then he remembered his personality being irritating as well. I don't remember that at all, but...
Interesting. There was, I was in that choir.
We didn't want to kick you out, by the way. You were fine.
Even though I did a classic. Here's a song that I wrote. I'm pretty sure. I'm 100% positive. At the end of the recording, I got one of your guitars, and I was like, "This is a song I wrote." I was like 9 or 10 or something.
I don't remember that at all.
I'm really glad, because that's a classic, like.
That's okay at
child move.
9 or 10 though, isn't it?
Here's my song. Please.
Could you actually play the guitar very well?
No.
At that age?
Not really. At that point, like when I would play instruments, it was solely to accompany the vocal melodies.
Yes,
like,
okay.
The first song that I ever wrote was just because I like saw a keyboard. And I was like, I could probably figure this out. And it was like 2 notes or something. But it was enough. It's all I needed is to support the song. So same vibe with the song, because I remember what song it was.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Well, because I was like, I have to play this really cool band my song, and they have to like me. Yeah.
I feel terrible that I don't remember.
No.
I think there's too many other things to factor in that day that maybe was sort of the last part of my brain. What I do remember is that writing the lyrics out, I've got to remember this for tomorrow when we're recording this choir tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is to do it more phonetically than the actual words, because I remember everyone sounding quite Australian.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't necessarily the sound we wanted.
No, because we would have been used to phrasing in a very classical
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
like
that was
very
what it
open
was.
vowels and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, we needed to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. But it was just it was Ben's like house that he was just renting just in the bedroom. Or
Yeah.
like, for a little bit. Tomorrow we're actually doing it at a proper recording studio. But to be honest, it's not like things have changed that much with Miami Horror. It's still some real like budget thrown together shit that manages to work.
Yeah, well, we all were like so kind of like starry-eyed when we all got there, and we were all so like, oh my gosh, we're doing the coolest thing. And then I remember when the song came out, I was the first one to be like, oh, the song's out. And I went to rehearsal and I ran up to all the kids who had been involved, and I was like, guys, it's us, we're playing, we're on the iTunes.
That's so funny. So was that like 2010 or something, maybe?
Yeah, because didn't you guys just have the 10-year anniversary of the record?
Yeah, it was like the 11 year because the COVID year was
Oh,
cancelled.
okay. Yeah.
Sort of the
Doesn't
fake year.
exist. Okay.
How was your COVID year? Were you somewhere else and then you had to come home?
I was indeed somewhere else. I was in London. So I had actually moved there, but I was only going to be there for like, I don't know, a bit under half a year, just because I was preparing to work on, I guess, creative content for my new music that I'd been recording mostly in Sydney in Australia.
Yeah.
And I still had some more work to do in Sydney, but for the time being, I was going to go to the UK and get some music videos done and work with photographers there and work with like other creative collaborators there, because my management is based in the UK.
Okay.
So I just thought it would be easier to be there. And plus I had flown back and forth like a ridiculous number of times.
Yeah, it starts driving you crazy.
I mean, it was interesting, but now I'm kind of like, oh wow, I miss it so much. You know, I think at the time I was like, I really just want to take a break from like flying. And then the world went, here's your break from flights forever. But yeah, I actually managed to get home just in the nick of time, because I had been in Berlin with a friend. We'd gone to see Jack Garrett play because he was just wrapping up his tour at the time, and had this beautiful weekend in Berlin. But it was kind of around the time where like people were talking about coronavirus in a way that was a bit like comedic relief.
Yeah, of course. I remember.
And so we were making up little ditties about, you know, coronavirus when we were on the plane and on trains and stuff. And I got this horrendous like Snapchat memory. Snapchat, that app, likes to remind you of where you were a year ago, which is like super disturbing, or where you were 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I got one a couple of months ago from a year ago, and it's of my friend frantically disinfecting a table, because remember when we thought it was on surfaces, like in a massive way. And the caption reads something like, the moment when the number of coronavirus cases in Germany triples to 42. 42. And I just read it and I was like, wow, so innocent. Oh my God, that is no cases. Yeah, it was sad. But then I got back to London, and then within like the next, not even a week, panic just went, because then it was in Australia. So then I had my parents calling me being like, they're going to shut the borders. And I just had to pack up. I was living in like a guardianship, which is kind of like a giant share house, essentially, like shared kitchen and bathroom situation. So total COVID hot pot, like waiting to happen. So they were like, come home, you just need to get out, get all your stuff. And I managed to like dodge the hotel quarantine, but I had to self-isolate in my house.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, a very, very hectic time. And then we were just in lockdown forevermore after that.
Yeah, and been nowhere since.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I went to Sydney. Wait, I've been there. I went to the Gold Coast.
Oh, yeah?
I think that's all I've done. It was weird being on the plane.
Yeah, I've been to Sydney quite a bit since December, when people started doing things again, because I had to go and kind of finish a lot of the new music I was working on. So a lot of last year was spent waiting.
But you've written most of it here, and the London stuff was just kind of not music as much.
I actually, you know, I've been writing a lot and co-writing mostly. over like the last 2 years, I suppose. Well, I mean, the 2 years before 2020. And I had written songs in Melbourne and in Sydney and in London and in LA. And then I had kind of gathered a lot of new songs, and I was starting to like properly record them, redo vocals and stuff like that. And that I was doing in Sydney. Okay. And I had lots to finish, and yeah, I couldn't. I just had to wait. So yeah.
But it's done now.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff is done now.
Like done, good. Finished, forever done, or still twiddling?
No, a lot of it's done.
That's not,
I'm dodging certain things that I'm not allowed to say yet. When will this come out, actually?
When I finish it, I don't know. A couple of weeks, maybe?
Yeah.
A week?
A week. Okay, cool. I'm going to continue to be mysterious.
Yeah, be cagey. That is totally fine.
Because at the moment, and the way that I'm kind of like drip feeding this release is I'm releasing the songs in pairs.
Yes, I saw that. So there's the duology one is the first thing out. That's
yes.
And they're sister songs. That's what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, basically the whole idea of the duologies, the way of releasing my new music this year, was it came about because I had been referring to 2 songs of mine from my last release, which was an EP called Here and Now. I'd been referring to them as sister songs every time I played them live because they were very specifically about the same scenario, but one was kind of more accepting and optimistic and mature in its perspective, and the other was just like devastating breakup song. So, but they were about the same thing, so 2 sides of the same coin. And I had been thinking about that concept a lot, and when I kind of took a step back and looked at a lot of the new music that I had written over the past couple of years, I realized I had been doing that without even realizing still. And I think that was probably just an example of the fact that like when you're in your early 20s, like you change your mind a lot, and like you go to write about one thing and then you feel differently about it a couple of weeks later and you write about it again. So I just kind of wanted people to hear that kind of changing of my mind, like within the pairs, I guess. And you can write like lots of songs about the one person or scenario, but like there always seemed to be a really clear main 2. So that's, and you know, in terms of actually just like calling them duologies, like, you know, my songwriting is very word heavy. It's very storytelling.
You have a lot of words, yes.
A lot of words.
So many words.
Yeah.
That's my nightmare, having to write that many words. You obviously, it's easy for you and you enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like something that has been a massive thing that I've had to learn stepping into the world of co-writing, because I wrote music solely by myself pretty much, like from when I was little, is that you learn the art of space, I guess. And, you know, you step into these rooms and they're like, I think you can afford to just like not say as many words in this section. Like let that line that you just said sink in and then come back and say this thing. And I don't know, I think that
we call that a restraining order when I'm doing sessions. It's like, you need to put a little restraining order on that phrase or that bit.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
sometimes you've got to be a repeater file and say the same thing twice, but a lot of restraining orders too.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I remember being in this session in LA, and there was an engineer, and then there was like the main co-writer producer, and the engineer had been very, very quiet throughout the day. And the producer was like a fan of my work and was kind of just letting me do whatever I wanted, I think, because he wanted to see how I worked and how I fit that many words in a song or whatever. And it just got so insane, like, because no one was stopping me. No one was like critiquing me. And I was just like, more words. And then this engineer finally speaks up and goes, you know, I think like maybe like just for the chorus, we could afford to like try this. And then he literally chopped up the vocal in the track and just deleted a bunch of stuff or like moved it along. And it was like the perfect call. You need to be able to cut back in sections because there has to be balance. But I think that that's just like the best thing about co-writing and meeting lots of new people, is that they can bring out things in you that you don't actually know that you have, like that ability, absolutely. I suppose.
But I guess the other thing sometimes is what's cool about not doing that is that you end up being way more yourself than anything else, don't you? There's sort of there's a balance, I find.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think now I have released enough songs that if people that I'm working with know of my music before I meet them and get in a session, like when I sing a particular melody, they'll say things like, "Oh, that's such a like Gretta thing to do."
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
which is nice. It's really nice to have yourself. That. Yeah, for sure.
So what drive was all you as a young person?
Yeah. Yep. That song took me about 3 months, I think, to finish.
Because you had to keep changing the words?
Yeah. I wasn't really kind of writing songs consistently. I wasn't really practicing songwriting.
How old were you then writing that?
I was 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah, or 16, I think, when I started writing that one, maybe. But yeah, I was with songwriting. I was so wanting to you know how you just want to like make something that's better than the last thing that you did.
Yeah, all the time.
Forever.
Like
that's
why
really,
I'm still
going. yeah, which is like, you know, the best thing about it. But I think what I didn't clock at that age was that in order to actually get better, you need to practice. And I think that practice isn't necessarily, this is my opinion, I don't think practice is just like agonizing over perfecting the way that you've structured a song, or what line, is it smart enough? Have you used the right words? Is it going to land? That's not practice. That's just overthinking and kind of getting a little bit caught up in your ego. Practice is going into a session and taking criticism on board and listening to other people's ideas and challenging yourself in that sense, and walking out with, you know, maybe a finished song, maybe an almost finished song, and being like, I don't really know how I feel about it yet, but I got a song out today. And just practicing and practicing. And the more that you do it, the more you actually come to really love those songs that can get turned out in one day, I think, because it captures a really specific present energy. And the thing about writing songs that would take me months and months to finish was that I would have to kind of rediscover the initial feeling that I had started that song with in the production process or in the live shows. Like, I couldn't really feel it in the way that I had composed it, because I had just been so obsessed with trying to get every single thing right.
Yeah, sure.
Which isn't like objectively bad, because with Drive, I love that song, but I could never write like that anymore, I don't think, you know, and just take ages and ages to finish something, because I want to just capture how I'm feeling and finish the thing and like see through the task, I suppose.
I hate taking too long.
Yeah.
Like getting it done in the day. I feel like I could never get all of the lyrics done in the day. But you can
go over and clean it. Like you have, like, lyrics are always something that I'm like, I mean, with a lot of my new music, when I went to redo vocals on songs, I would be like, I don't really feel like this line is impactful as I maybe thought it was when I wrote it, so I'm going to change it now. But
that's it really, though. I don't feel like I change the chords and that too much as it goes, as it moves on. It really is just tweaking the lyrics. And just because I think that, and like the overall flow of the song, I guess that's something that probably comes together in the final moments. So you write lyrics even when you're not writing music? You have like a journal, a diary of lots and lots of words?
Yeah,
I don't know many people who do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, usually it's just, I don't know, it's like singing the gibberish top line over the top of the song. And then
that's the most common thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really interesting, because when I started doing co-writing, I remember, because I'm still, and I think this comes from having, you know, spent years writing by myself, I'm still a pretty internal writer, even in those rooms. So I don't usually, unless I'm really comfortable and it's later in the day and I want to finish the thing. But at the beginning of the day, I'll kind of just be, as a track's developing, as a writer-producer's working on something, I'm just sitting there kind of coming up with stuff in my head, and then I'll look up and be like, hey, I've got a verse and a pre.
Okay.
But I've been in sessions where the other top liners are just singing from the moment that we start. And I'm like, oh, if I don't speak up with any of my ideas, even though they're not really formed yet, I'm not going to get an idea in the song, because they just have so many and they're all here right now in the room. So I think, it's different for everyone. But I think because of my love for words and really just wanting to accurately describe the feeling that I want to write about, I probably am just going to stay in my head in that sense a little bit longer. And I also I do this practice every morning from this book called The Artist's Way.
What's the name? Julia Cameron?
Yeah. So I do morning pages every morning.
I haven't read it yet.
You haven't read it yet?
No, many people, someone bought it for me. Lots of people have told me to do it.
It's one of those.
I haven't felt constipated or anything like I've needed it, I guess. So that's why
That's
I haven't.
good.
Yeah, but I think it would really help with lyric. But then now I'm just starting to make music that's more instrumental. I can't even be bothered singing anymore. I'm getting so lazy. It's like, the voice is too hard. Fuck it. I'll just use a guitar.
Instrumentals.
Yeah, get a saxophone to play it instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it helped with a lot of things for me when I read that book and did all of the tasks that she sets you.
You diligently did everything? Yeah, nice. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I mean, I actually did it properly for the first time in lockdown. So I had the time. The only thing that was a bit of a struggle is something that she suggests is going on artist dates, which is basically just you go to some kind of art-related thing by yourself, whether it be a walk or go to a gallery or something. So that
was on YouTube, maybe.
Well,
what did you do? What were your artist dates?
I mean, I just went to the Merry Creek a lot, you know, and I would take my paints down there. It was still lovely. It was just there were less options because of the restrictions, but you're not supposed to go with anyone. It's supposed to just be like your time to dedicate to your artist self. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the biggest practice that I took away from that book was the morning pages, because I find that if I can wake up and write 3 stream of consciousness pages, then it just kind of gets me in more of a creative flow. And if there's something that I haven't uncovered, like a thought or a feeling or a little epiphany, I'm going to find it in the pages, and then I can go straight into writing a song or take something into a session that day.
Maybe that's one thing I might need to do.
It's good. It's a process. Like it takes a while, but I definitely feel like it was worth it for sure.
Yeah. Writing words is sort of just, I only do it if I have to anymore. I think I used to be excited about it, but...
We'll co-write. I'll bring the words, you bring the instrumental vibe.
Yeah, sure, okay. Sounds good. That I can definitely do. Even top line writing now, I've gotten pretty shit at too. Just good at like mainly chords these days. That's become my whole...
That's good. I'm not good at chords. I'm good at melodies, but I mean, I love working with other musicians in the sense that they will be like, how about we try in this key, which is like a key I would never think to write in, or over chords that you wouldn't necessarily play.
I can definitely help
Amazing.
in this department. The top line thing, I find it okay when I'm writing songs that are like my own, so solo-y songs that are, you know, for projects that are very much mine. But top line writing in pop sessions or with other people, then I'm not very good at just coming up. You know, some people just fucking just do it over and over. Like you're talking about, they just have so many ideas.
Yeah, it's definitely intimidating.
Yeah, that one's tricky.
Yeah.
I can come up with one thing and then that's pretty much it. After that, I'm exhausted and need some more space.
It's definitely a lot, but I feel like you find your collaborators that you kind of gravitate towards more so than others. Like there'll be certain writer producers or top liners or like anyone who will just, I don't know, they will meet you where you are. Like you guys will just click more than you will with others. And I think like I spent, you know, a couple of years throwing paint at the wall and seeing what stuck in that sense. And I had a lot of really positive sessions, which was amazing. But there were also days when like, you know, I would meet someone and we would like have a great conversation and then we would just get so stuck. And it's kind of like those moments you're like, oh my God, I want to die. I really want to leave. Oh my God. Like nothing is working. This is so bad.
Yeah, but it's a bad date sometimes.
Yeah. Yes,
and then
that's
afterwards,
so weird.
You sort of have to text them like, oh, that was, some of them really enjoyed it. You're like, you had the same fucking writing session as, well, it was horrible.
Oh my gosh, I know. But sometimes it's just not there, you know? Like, and Joni Mitchell spoke about that in an interview or a book or something where she's just like, yeah, sometimes you just go to write something and then the creative outer force or whatever just goes, nah, you can't have it today. Mm-hmm. And then there's that amazing, I think it's Leonard Cohen, that quote where he comes back from the studio and he's in the car and he gets this idea and he looks up and goes, can't you see I'm driving? Like he spent the whole day in the studio and then the idea only arrives when he's busy. And that, yeah, is often how it sneakily works.
Yeah, I sort of definitely, my belief in inspiration is more just you just got to turn up and get the job done and hope that stuff happens.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's all you can do.
There will be some moments where something brilliant arrives, but otherwise you really just got to keep doing it, don't you?
Oh, totally. I actually, it's so interesting, especially now, I think, in the way that modern music is being kind of digested by larger audiences with this TikTok app and everything.
Are you a TikToker?
I mean, I kind of have to be. I enjoy other people's content on it. I am still figuring out how to use it.
Okay, what sort of things do you post?
Just me singing.
Okay.
Oh, and my most popular TikTok I've literally just started is this video I made. We did a creek clean a couple of weeks ago for Earth Day.
Yes.
And I put together this video of like, here are all of the weird things that we found in the Merry Creek.
That's good TikTok content.
Thank you.
Isn't
Well,
it?
people enjoyed it. And I was like, this is funny. There's all these videos of me being like, hi, I'm Gretta Ray. I'm a singer. And then my most viewed TikTok by a mile is me being like, look, I found this plastic Barbie boot in the mud. It's this is
do
this is
people
weird.
want you just saying I'm a singer and doing that? Is that just a bit? I'm trying to think. Yeah, what is?
Well, they don't. I seriously do not know the first thing about that app, to be honest. But I think there is this.
So even you're too old for it.
Yeah, how scary is that? How terrifying is that? I was talking about this with my mum just yesterday. Of like, it is moving so fast. Like, I already feel like I'm kind of at the beginning of what I want to be doing and working really hard for it. And now there's this thing with this really consistent, like freakishly consistent content being made. And I don't even know how to do it. And yeah, I already feel like I'm kind of old for it. But I think also that's just like me kind of resisting, and I probably just need to give into it a little bit more because, you can use it in a way that is good. But that whole thing of people kind of bringing unfinished songs onto the app and being like, hey, I just got this demo back. What do you guys think? You know, which is really interesting. And I kind of think like, I feel like I have spent a lot of time just writing like dozens and dozens of songs. And the moments where I've been like, oh, I think we're really onto something good. Like, it's not been an everyday experience, And I think Harry Styles said in this Beats One interview that he used this metaphor about songwriting being like surfing, like catching a good wave. It's like you can stuff up like 10 times and then you get on the 10th try, you get that really great wave. You only got that one that day, one or maybe two, but like it was worth all of the times that you kind of fell off the board in order to get that really great wave. And I still really see songwriting like that. So it's interesting, like seeing these songs come onto this platform of like, I just wrote this, what do you think? And these things are kind of crafted in a way that is going to be received by their audience, but just kind of like, yeah, I don't think that's a regular thing that arrives. Like that feeling of like, this is great it's few and far between.
I'm not going to ask a whole bunch of people what they think either.
Oh, yeah.
That feels so strange, doesn't it?
It does.
Because it's really about what you think, getting a couple of people close to you that you work with think, and really that's all that matters. Because you're the one who has to sort of believe in it anyway. That's sort of like that one of like, I don't feel very beautiful today, and everyone's like, you're great, your work is so like at primary school when you draw a picture or something, you're like, oh, it's crap, and then everyone goes, it's great, you're actually really, really good, like just kind of needing to be reassured.
I think that's the other thing. I think, I mean, each to their own, but personally, sharing new music with people after sitting on it and having it just be yours and maybe a few other people's for so long, which is kind of the process that like I'm in at the moment. I guess I'm starting to share things that I have, been working on for years. It is a bit of a process of letting go, I guess, because it has just been yours. And I actually think that that's really important, because the moments that you have in a studio where you finish something and it's just you and a producer, maybe one other person, and you're like, oh my gosh, we made this thing. And it's not the world's yet. It's private. There's something that it's just like a rite of passage, I feel, to give the song that energy before it's everyone else's opinion. And I love that transitional period as well, because as soon as it's out there, it's like, yeah, well, I had my time with the song. I listened to the demo a lot. I did what I could to make it the best that it could be. Now it's yours. It's your story. You'll hear moments in those lyrics that relate to you. It's yours now. So I do love that. But I think, the merging of like instantly showing it to everyone, totally terrifies me. Totally. It's not something that, I'm doing.
Yeah. Even just playing anything that's just mine, I find a horrifying experience. And usually get really, really contorted, or like have to start cleaning if they're in my room. Like, I've just got to go fix something else and leave the room for a little while.
Yeah, I had that a bit. I showed my mum a music video that we're putting out, and I was just like sitting there next to her as she watched it, and I was like, oh, this is so awkward. I really want to leave.
What especially about it, what was so awkward?
Well, I mean, she's incredibly supportive, but, with music videos, and with this particular music video, it was very performance-based, and it's a lot of me, like, being a performer and looking at the camera. Is this the one
you just put out?
No, this is one we are about to put out.
One. Okay.
And...
because the last one was very performing as well.
It was. I mean, that was definitely... I was just so excited to show, like, everyone that video, I think, because it captured, really who I am now, but it's also an ode to who I was when I was younger. The way that we kind of choreographed the dancing in that video, and everyone like mirroring each other's movements.
Everyone looked like they're having a good time.
Oh yeah,
looked very joyful.
It was a great day, but those kids were troopers. Like, it was so hot in that warehouse, so hot, and they gave it their all, and I was so in awe of them. But just even that thing of collaboration and being like, oh, we're making something great together. Like, I've been really fortunate to have experienced that feeling a lot throughout my childhood, like with Young Voices of Melbourne and with dance groups that I've been in, or vocal groups from Princess Hill. And so that music video was as much of an accurate reflection of who I am as an artist now as it was me as a kid. Mm-hmm. So there was no discomfort in showing anyone that. But, the video that we're about to put out, which I'm also equally as proud of, is a little bit different in the sense that it leans in kind of like this song I put out late last year called Passion. The video leans into like a more, I guess, my 22-year-old self, like a more mature side of myself. So I think that kind of stuff, showing your parents, is always a little bit like...
You mean it's like a little bit more risque?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Which is like a really cool thing to step into.
The Passion one's not that risque.
No,
like it's called
tame.
Passion.
It's just like very, raised eyebrows and, it's similar. It's up that alley. And when you sit on a couch with your mum and you watch that, of course,
yeah, because you're sort of selling it to your... it's just you and your mum. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. You're like, hope you like it. Cool.
That's funny. I like that Passion video. It reminded me of George Michael, One More Time. Have you ever seen that video? It's the same thing. It's like there's a couch. It's an old place, and he's performing to camera, and it's not too many shots. Similar sort of looking. I'll just have to show it to you.
I would have seen it, but I have not seen it in a really long time. I would need to be reminded for sure.
Similar
That's so amazing.
sort of thing. That one's cool. I like that song.
Thank you.
It's in 7. Who does songs in 7 anymore that are like pop songs?
Yeah, we were really excited about that. I wrote that with Kieran Daniel, who is based in Melbourne, and we had just been writing a lot of songs together around that time. And so we were being very experimental and just being like, why don't we try this? We could write this song. We could write like an acoustic kind of folk song. We could write this song that's a bit Casey Musgravesy, because we kind of had similar influences and would talk about, what music we were enjoying. And when it came to landing on that, that time signature, it was originally just on an acoustic guitar. Okay. And it sounded very like a little bit like Toto's Africa to me personally, because it was like
yes,
like,
I can hear it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I really want to work on this, but it has to not be acoustic guitar because I will just write Africa. But yeah, it was really fun because when you have that weird time signature, it sets up a new challenge of like, now I have to write a top line that feels comfortable around this time signature that throws you a little bit.
I don't think any people would notice that it's not in 4/4. I think it's only if you bother to pay attention. I guess I'm a bit nerdier on that. But it doesn't seem, like it doesn't feel too off or anything.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like it works. It's the same thing as All You Need Is Love. Like, what is it? There's nothing you can do that can't be done. And then it's straight back in. They just cut that beat right at the end.
You wouldn't even know.
No, you got no idea. Sevens are quite good like that. There's just this, it just immediately comes at you again. There's not like this extra wasted space sometimes at the end. You could have fit more words in there too if you'd left it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Probably for the best. They cut the beat off for you.
Oh man, totally. I've actually really enjoyed the 5/4 songs on that latest Taylor Swift release, Evermore.
Oh right, I haven't listened to it. So she did some of that with Bon Iver. Is that what's going on?
Yeah. And
she's a bush lady now.
Yeah. Look, to me, I saw all of that stuff and I was like, finally. I was like, I've been waiting for you to do this the whole time. It's like, it felt so much like a return or an arrival or something. I don't know, like just having followed that project since it started. And all of us clocking that she was like an incredible writer and she was going to do big shiny things and be experimental and dabble in lots of different genres. When she came out with Folklore, I was like, yep, this is the record that I've wanted you to make the whole time though. Cause but you couldn't have made it at any other point. All of the records that she has made have been an exact accurate representation of her artist project at that point in time. And it's just very nice that it's in that place now.
It's cool that big pop artists can actually do that. And it's sort of, I don't feel like they could in the 70s and the 80s probably. Maybe not, maybe in the late 90s to 2000s there was no way that was ever going to happen. You just had to be pop the whole time. But someone like David Bowie, I guess, was pop but could change direction and be an artist. And now I guess, it sort of seems like it's a possibility again. Yeah. Well, and I suppose someone like her doing it's going to inspire a lot of other people to do it as well, right? I guess Harry Styles sort of did that a little bit as well and has made people realize you can do cool shit. You can do cool shit. And like the 1975, their latest record has just so many different sounds on it. So many different genres, if you want to use that word. I haven't listened to that one. It's
good, but there's like some songs on there that sound like Jackson Browne influenced, like this song, he has Phoebe Bridgers doing backing vocals on it. Like, just these really beautiful stripped back kind of folky songs that I think, their very loyal fan base would love just as much as their classic, the 1975 sound. Yeah. Everyone loves to hear a good stripped back song, and so it's kind of like it doesn't really matter what that artist's, typical genre is. It's like we're all going to sit and listen and love it no matter what.
What is it what are you going to do? What do you want to do? Where is it going to go? How many more?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even just like the slight genre shift, I suppose, with my new music now.
It's definitely a shift.
So I'm kind of really wanting to play in that world for a little longer. At this point, I really still enjoy writing kind of more folky songs, and it's been really interesting like recording my new music if there is a more stripped back song, like doing the vocals for it and just feeling this sense of relief, like, oh, this is such an easy song to sing and all the others are so hard, there's nowhere to breathe, what have I created? And so singing the more kind of low-key ones that, are still, so fun, but just being like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just make a whole record like this one day. I hope that I can. I hope that I will.
Who's saying that you can't though?
Exactly.
You just
yeah, I mean, I guess so. No, I don't have, I think that's the exciting thing about kind of feeling like I'm in the very early stages of my career is that I I'm
You are in
inspired
the very
by.
early stages of your career. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I feel like I'm inspired by so many different kinds of writers. I grew up with James Taylor and Joni Mitchell
Yep.
and Laura Marling, and you know, I love the way that Ariana Grande composes backing vocals. I love, you know, a whole bunch of pop artists that are killing it right now, and I really admire how difficult it is. Oh, I love the new Julia Michaels record that came out last week.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, it's great. She's great.
Okay.
Her EPs are really good as well. So she wrote like Sorry by Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez songs. So she started as like a session writer when she was a teenager, and now she's, you know, kind of doing more of her own
What's
stuff.
her name one more time?
Julia Michaels.
Okay, I have no idea.
Yeah, she's great. She's LA based. But yeah, I love how difficult it is to write a really good pop song, and
it's
it's
real
so
hard.
hard. But I also really love, I have a lot of friends who write in that genre, and when they send me a song and I'm like, oh my gosh, you did it. Like, all of them are brilliant, but sometimes my friend sent me one the other day and I was like, oh, you found, like, you've landed in that moment where this checks, not only does it check all the boxes, but it's like it's got this additional door that's going to lead you to like this wider audience, because it's equally as interesting as it is inviting to people that like might, I don't know, it's just a balance of all of the things, and I think that's so hard to do. And when people do it, it's like, that's why you did dozens and dozens of writing sessions. It was to get this is going to be your key to the next thing.
Yes.
I love.
Yeah, I think even, I mean, Max Martin or someone, right? He must have so many aborted songs, like thousands and thousands of horrible ones. He can't-
yeah.
Yeah. He just must be writing. And I think even these days, there's like 6 or 7 different studio writing rooms all within his like compound. And
Yeah.
he sort of dips his head into each one. He's like, no, that one's no good. And then just keeps kind of moving around, and he's just the sort of curating master of all of it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think, I mean, that's why it's weird with people like the Beatles and that, though, that who just seem to be able to do it kind of by themselves so consistently. I don't know that many people who are that, because even these great pop songwriters or people that you're talking about, your friends and that, like they get it, but they're not like, they're maybe not going to be able to do it repeatedly, are they? Necessarily, like you got to do a shitload of them to get one.
Yes.
There's some people that just have an
There's
absolute
again
gift for
and
it.
again. Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Beatles, like, have you read Outliers?
Sort of. Yeah, I know. I've read a bit of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the like
The 10,000 hour rule.
not the Hamburg years, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like as soon as you have that story about them playing just so many shows, hours on end, and practicing, and just like really having so much time to become a band.
yeah,
It just
it's very
makes
true.
so much sense.
I think
when
they
you have
learned.
that backstory.
They pretty much learned every song that was ever recorded or something in those sort of few years
Crazy.
that they played, and then I guess
Yeah.
you've got all the tools at your disposal.
Totally. But even just like, I will often find myself listening to just like their, you know, like This Is the Beatles on Spotify, like that playlist of just like all of the hits, as if like not every single one is a hit, and listening to them and just being like, yeah, this is actually insane. Like these melodies, you can't put 2 of these songs in the same pigeonhole. Like there's something that sets them all apart.
I know.
You know, which is just wild.
I think that the guy who made Spotify's got more money than Paul McCartney, but it doesn't seem fair to me.
That does not seem fair.
Yeah, like no matter
that's
what, the
wrong.
richest person in music should just be Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
and no matter whoever's
probably.
got more than him should have to donate their excess to make sure that he's still always at the top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Been listening to ABBA a little bit recently as well. Actually, that sort of appeared.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I was actually thinking the other day about, because I saw a little clip of them recording, Gimme. I always go to call it Man at the Midnight. It's not the title of the song.
No, I think that's probably that and Dancing Queen are my 2 favorites.
So good. But I was like, yeah. Remember that time that there wasn't the auto-tune plug-in? Like, I just had this moment of like, gosh, that's something that we so take for granted now, hey?
Are you a big auto tuner?
No, but I definitely use it subtly. But like I would record, I don't have the tuning on when I'm recording my vocals.
No, that's horrible. I don't like doing that either because it all just sounds weird as well.
It is
makes
weird.
your brain kind of malfunction.
Yeah, totally. I've used it. There was one session I used it when we were recording just because I was sick. And then they took it off to comp the vocals and I had to sit on the couch and just die.
I
was like, this is horrible. This is my worst nightmare. But no, I will use it subtly on the tracks because I think there's also, it's kind of contributes to that overall pop sound, and I think that people's kind of hatred for auto-tune in some ways like is kind of really unnecessary and their arguments about it are not that good. Like Ariana Grande uses it excessively, but she's the best singer in the world. So, it's kind of like, it's just a thing that we use now. It sounds like the quality of the music that we are making, so we use it. So I'm not against it, but I am really fascinated when I think about the fact that for so long it didn't exist. When we
so
made
many
music.
people do listen to those. The thing that people love about old records is all the mistakes and imperfections and everything. And you'll be in studio sessions and everyone's like, oh, listen to that. The drums, he missed that snare or that vocal's a little bit out. But then no one keeps any of those things really.
I know. And it's really important. Like, that was I'm not going to call it a regret. I'm going to call it a learning experience.
Sure.
No
regrets.
You have to learn stuff.
Yes.
Yes, when I recorded my last EP, I comped the vocals so much, because we didn't actually use a lot of tuning on that record because it was more alternative. Kind of.
So what, you just heaps of different takes or
heaps of different takes
together, yeah.
And I think that it still sounds good, but when I listen to it, I can hear how much I've comped it because I know how much time I spent going, and like some of them just looked ridiculous. Because
it's the rainbow, eh?
Totally.
the
and
Pro Tools rainbow.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Or Ableton.
Crazy. And now I will do vocals in a way where I record quite a few takes, but I will try and record full takes because there's more of a chance that I'm going to get moments of emotion and there's less of, I'm just not going to comp them to that same obsessive extent that I used to because I think that capturing that realness, especially when you're making quite shiny pop, it's like those moments are so important. I really love Claire Bowditch's records because you can always hear when she's smiling, when she's singing certain lyrics. And I love that. And I've definitely tried to recreate that in moments when I was making my new music. I think that it's really important to have those moments where you're like, oh, there's a little voice crack there, but it makes it what it is.
That's definitely a thing that has stopped happening is getting people to do an entire take of the song in a studio. That's usually cool. Do 10 takes of the verse right now. We'll start building the chorus, and it's like, nah, just do 3 all the way through to start with. Then let's see what we need to do a little bit more of. But it's way better to just actually, sing the fucking song. But I suppose people haven't actually played the song ever live before or anything, right? So they don't actually. There's
Another
not a muscle memory to get you through it, yeah.
Totally. Who really does that anymore when they have an artist project? It's so about, and I am totally one of these artists. You hide the songs away, and then you release them and then you perform them. But when I was younger, I was playing gigs quite regularly just by myself. It was I just wrote this song. I'm just going to test it out on you guys. That's so much less of a thing now as well. So you don't actually get to practice the songs in front of people, which is interesting, I guess. It's just, a interesting new way of doing things, I suppose.
Your biggest song is one that was written younger in that style, isn't it?
Yeah. And I remember I did that exact thing with Drive. I was I finished this the other day. I'm going to play it to this small group of people at the Workers Club on a Sunday. And that was the first time that I had played it. And so I was so lucky to have that with that song before it kind of became what it was, because when I had to start playing it to larger audiences, I was so shit scared. Like my mum was reminding me yesterday of like, do you remember when you played Falls Festival and you were terrified? I was like, yeah, like I just come out of school. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was lucky that I was playing gigs on weekends. So I had time to practice what is a really hard song to sing. There are these kids that come to me at my shows at the merch desk and go, hey, I like sung Drive for my year 12 exam. And I was like, oh, no way, really? And they're like, yeah, it's on the syllabus. And I was like, it's on the syllabus? Why is it on the syllabus? And then they go, because there's nowhere to breathe. And then there's just this look that kind of is across their eyes, like they love me but also really hate me as well. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. No, there isn't much breathing going on, is there?
No, it's definitely... Well, I mean, now after having sung it as many times as I have, it's easier to sing. But it was a case of like, oh, okay, I have to learn how to perform this. I also have to learn how to perform this while factoring in nerves as well. But yeah, I mean, that's just like a rehearsal-based thing. And, you know, a lot of my vocal training... I mean, all of my vocal training really comes from being in Young Voices of Melbourne.
So you had lots of like official vocal training.
Yeah. Well, when you're in a choir that rehearses...
Yeah, I guess they're kicking your ass a lot, aren't they?
Sorry?
They're kicking your ass a lot to get you doing it.
Well, no. I mean, I just... I loved to sing as a kid and I wanted to sing at every moment that I could. And so... it was just kind of what I did with like extracurricular activities. It was community choirs, it was vocal groups, it was taking every opportunity that I could to sing, you know, just because it's what I love. So I don't ever really feel like it was something that was kind of forced. It was just, thankfully, I was surrounded by really good people that cared about what I wanted to do and cared about me doing it in the best way that I could. So I was able to get that training when I was younger, yeah.
I was too scared as a kid. I found it so scary. Well, I don't think I started singing until I was about 18.
Yeah?
I was finally sort of tough enough to. There was some high school band competition I was supposed to be in when I was about 14 and I was supposed to be the singer, and as it got closer to the date of the performance, I just got more and more terrified. And then I just said, I'm just going to play guitar. We have to find someone else to be the singer.
Oh, gosh,
and I'd hide
really?
behind the whiteboard when I used to be doing the rehearsals. And then I was like, I cannot do this.
Wow.
It was so scary.
Did you have like singing teachers at that
No,
age?
we were just making it up.
Oh, okay.
Guitar teachers, yeah. But then I think I started getting singing lessons maybe when I was like 19 or something. I've had 15 lessons or something ever. I think probably. But yeah, like I said, singing's getting less and less something that I care about. And the music side means more to me.
Totally.
No.
I mean, I think as well as like just loving to sing so much, being in environments that encouraged like, okay, you're doing a performance, the audience is what matters. Like, I mean, when you're in a community choir, like, and, you know, kind of standing in front of all of these people, it's just kind of like you learn how to be a professional from a very young age because you have to stand there, you have to be in your uniform, and we had like red ribbons in YVM, and like it was always a panic last minute before going to a performance. Do you have the red ribbons? You have to have them. Like just those little things that actually kind of teach you that as much as it is kind of about you, because I guess you're the performer, it is more so about the fact that these people have come to see you perform, and it is your job to do your best performance for them.
I like this attitude. I think
Thank
there's a lot of artists that don't actually have that attitude at all. And they sort of, I don't know, their song got discovered, they start doing okay, and they don't actually appreciate their audience, or they just... It's not like an entitlement. It's just a not actually quite understanding that people have paid money, so you need to give them something. Like do your best work for them because they've paid money to see you. Like put on a good show.
Totally.
Make sure you're not drunk. Make sure your voice, like you warm up your voice. Do everything you can.
Do what you can. And like when... I mean, obviously this is for artists who are on like a way bigger, you know, platform. But when those artists... you know, kind of let down an audience because of, I suppose, what is a little bit their ego, which, you know, of course it's easy to get caught up in, like, your life is your artist project, and that's very confusing and weird for identity stuff. But, like, no one who's in the crowd ever forgets those moments. Like, my mum has constantly reminded me of when she went and saw Joni Mitchell when she was kind of in her, like, rock chick phase.
Okay.
And she was playing both sides now, and she went, oh, what's the lyric again? Like, because she just, and you could so tell she just didn't want to be playing it. And that is kind of like, you know, love Joni forever. But I think that as a teenager or however old my mum was, she was a bit like, oh, I'm a bit sad because I love that song. And, you know, it's cool that she's doing new stuff and experimenting, but there is this kind of loyalty that you have to your audience when they are attached to your music because, as I said earlier, like, it becomes theirs and not as much yours. And, like, I remember seeing John Mayer when I was younger, and he was just refusing to play Your Body is a Wonderland. Refusing. And so many people were like, play it, you gotta play it. And he was just like, you don't even want to hear Your Body is a Wonderland. You want to hear, like, the first, like, few chords of it. Like, or just something like that. And everyone was kind of laughing, but they were also like, get over yourself and play the song that we love. You know?
Half of the reason we're here is because of that song. Like, we paid our money for that.
Totally. And, like, you know, as weird as this is, but, like, you know that there are people in the audience who they met and that song was, like, the anthem to the beginnings of their relationship, and it means the world to them. And, like, oh, I hope he plays it because that would mean so much to us, which I just feel like isn't that, I don't know, I would always have that be, like, the overriding, well, I hope that I always have that be the overriding thing for my artist project.
So you're 40 and the yell and play drive. You just fucking play it, right?
Well, yeah. I think James Taylor said that when he kind of experiences those moments, he's like, I just played the song like I'm playing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, yep, that is what you have to do. And I think that's really cool. I think there probably would definitely come a frustration with, you know, if you were working on new music and you didn't really feel like people connected with it as well as something that you wrote when you were much younger. Of course, that's difficult. But also, what a gift that you got to connect with them at all in the first place.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely think so. The fact that you even got anything, it's like the hardest job in the world, the most impossible thing to write music that really is going to connect on a big level. So it's kind of fluky and lucky, and not everyone gets a chance. So if you did, just be happy.
Yeah.
Don't be like bitter and sort of grumpy about it that people don't want to hear your new songs. And probably sometimes your new songs aren't actually that good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of feel like in a big way the audience is always right. You know, like, well, yeah, I think so. I think that, you know, people's you know, if it's a song that is as, you know, how old is Your Body is a Wonderland now?
20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Not quite, maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Like,
know
be
how.
like 2003, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Sounds about right.
And it's still connecting with so many people. Like,
Yeah.
that says something.
He just went on a real mission to prove to the world that he's one of the coolest guitar players ever and doesn't want to be known for anything other than that. It's like, but no matter how cool you get at guitar, you're not going to be Jimi Hendrix. You're still always John Mayer, who wrote Your Body is a Wonderland, dude. Like, it doesn't matter how many solos and how much guitar trickery you learn. You're still John Mayer. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, buddy.
Totally. Oh,
It doesn't matter.
yeah.
What song, not by you, but by anyone else, could you happily never hear ever again?
Never hear ever again. Ooh.
I heard that on Gold 104, that Danger Zone song, the one from Top Gun. Do you know that song? Halfway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah.
And I thought, never again.
Oh.
Cancel that song.
Cancel that song. Oh, wow.
I reckon there's lots, Greta. And
I'm sure there are, but yeah.
if I didn't hear Daft
think
Punk
of-
one more time, I don't think I would be upset about that, actually. I don't need to hear it one more
I'm
time.
so frustrated that I can't think of any on the spot because there definitely are so many.
Who's a band that's like your antithesis? Who's the most awful band ever? Who really riles you up the wrong way?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I don't want to say.
yeah, it's in there. Yes.
No, see,
Are you gonna,
bands that like rub me the wrong way are usually bands that like there's enough information out there about them just being awful people. And
is this a local, like more local or international?
I think like just in general, like I will turn away from listening to a project when I think that there is enough evidence that that artist is not really offering a lot in terms of just being like a good person or just like not a good role model or something like, you know, like I went and saw Ryan Adams and then like I wasn't super into his music growing up, but I went and saw his performance. And then, you know, when everything kind of came out a couple of years ago, I was like, cool, I can very, very easily never listen to you again.
Yeah,
like, and that
I never
is
really
kind
liked
of
him anyway, so it
yeah.
didn't really
Well,
matter to
and
me.
I wasn't hugely attached, but so many people were, you know, like, and so many people say things like, "Oh, he's just the best songwriter in the world," blah blah blah.
He's
and it's
not.
like I just have no
Brian Adams,
interest.
sure,
Yeah,
but Ryan,
Ryan
no,
Adams.
thank you.
No, yeah,
Give me
I
Brian over Ryan any day.
yeah, like, I just I don't. I think because music is also so down to personal taste as well. Like it would be much more difficult for me to sit here and be like, oh, I don't like this artist or this band because their music sucks or something. Because it's like, who am I to say that? It's not, you know, connecting with me, but it might connect with other people. But I think when someone is in the position where they have a platform and they are irresponsibly using it, then I will very easily be like, cool, well, I can disengage from that because that's not really offering us anything positive anymore.
Have you had that? A difficult one for me is Michael Jackson because I just grew up with his music and love it so much. It means so much to me. And so the art versus the artist in a situation like that is a tricky one. Whereas for someone like Ryan Adams or, you know, even like R. Kelly, I'm like, I don't need to listen to R. Kelly. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Ryan Adams never liked him. But Michael Jackson, I love so much. And I've continued to listen to him. I didn't watch the documentary that came out because it just sounded like horrible to watch. Yeah. Which was something I didn't really feel like I need to know that much about. But also I don't think I want to have it spoil my MJ vibes.
I know.
As well.
It's difficult. That one is difficult.
There's a lot of difficult ones though. There's like
not difficult in the sense, just to clarify, that it's like, you know, if someone has done a series of really bad things, it is not difficult to deny like that is objectively awful. That is terrible. I think what is the difficult part of it is the fact that, like, you know, objectively he was so hugely influential.
Yeah, and their music's amazing. Yeah. Their like talent is
it's such a hard conversation, and I think especially now, I mean, with artists like Michael Jackson, it's a little bit different because he's an older artist, but like now, if you there's just no room for you to, well, I mean, that's a lie, and there are definitely irresponsible artists that are out there, but like I think in a more universal sense, it's like that stuff is not A, swept under the rug as much, and B, I think that there's a lot more conversation about how that's bad.
Yes,
you know, I think it's that people speak out about it a lot more, which is great. So there's not really room for that to become a terrible issue to the same level that it did back in the day. So now that these things are kind of coming out about artists who it was swept under the rug at the time, it does make the conversation interesting.
Yeah, that's
for
a tricky one. I mean, so many of the greats have got really dubious things that they've participated in. And if we started cancelling everyone, there'd be no one left.
I was like, who was it recently? Oh, yeah, it was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how accurate this is, but it's something like this. Like Eric Clapton played at like a anti-mask protest or like an anti...
Sure, I mean...
You know, like something like that. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I didn't really care much for Clapton anyway. It's just the poor man's Jimi Hendrix. I fucking don't need Eric Clapton in my life anyway. But yeah, I know. You've got to... I just tried to decide. I was like, fuck it. I'll just take the art over the artist and just say that for a while and see how my life continues until it doesn't work for me anymore. It's so far so good, but I'm sure.
I think it's, for me personally, I think when they are still kind of, when
they're still doing the naughty stuff and they haven't learned their lesson.
Or they're like profiting from, then
for sure.
I will not want to be involved. No, thank you.
No, I get that. That's totally fair. Hey, thank you, Gretta. That was really fun to catch up. I had no idea about meeting her as a kid until probably, maybe quite a few months back when she posted something about it. It's funny where we all end up and how things turn out as the years go by. Now, Gretta's debut album, Begin to Look Around, is due for release on August 27th, so keep an eye out for that. I'm sure it's going to be great. Until then, check out her latest duology release, which is the song Passion, paired with a new tune called Human. Nice one, Gretta. Really digging what you're doing. I look forward to hearing more from her as the years go by. Plenty more to come by the sounds of things. Hey, all right, that's it for episode 63. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back in a few weeks with episode 64. I've already got it recorded, so there's no excuse on a delay on my end. Let's keep things moving, all right? Hey, until then, take care, be safe. See you soon. Thank you.